Garden stores.
I've been there.
Fratelloni.
Joe?
Yeah.
Rolling.
Fratelloni's Hardware and Garden Stores brings you Garage Logic podcast number 1317, May 30th, 2024. 98 degrees on this day in 1934. And as chilly as 37 degrees on this day in 1947. Aquacide wasn't around in 1934, so the kids went out there in those flannel bathing suits and got all tangled up in the weeds. That's not necessary with Aquacide. These products are made in White Bear Lake. They've been helping people maintain Great Lake shores for more than 60 years by getting rid of the weeds and the algae. The products are easy to use. They work quickly. They're registered with the EPA and DNR. There's no need to let the weeds overtake your lakefront this summer. Call Aquacide, describe what you see. They'll help you identify the problem, get you the right products, and your place will look great all summer long. Call Aquacide at 1-800-328-9350 or go to aquacide.com.
Hail the flashlight king.
And now, from the mayor's office above the boathouse on the east shore of Spoon Lake, it's Garage Logic with Chris Reavers manning Technology Corner, Kenny Olson from the Krabby Coffee Shop, John Haidt in the newsroom, and of course, the rookie. Here is your flashlight king, fireworks commissioner, and the keeper of common sense, your mayor, Joe Souchere.
Stacy, the GL geologist, is noting that Iceland is erupting.
Ooh.
And there's a great webcam she links us to. It's just called livefromiceland.is.
It's amazing. The video is amazing.
McLaren just booked a ticket there.
Really?
That
Seriously.
hot
I'd like to
lava
go there.
The hot lava is bursting. Like, Joe, have you ever cooked the SpaghettiOs and meatballs uncovered in the microwave?
No.
That's how it just blasts up. It's just like that.
And we talked about the transgendered monk the other day.
Yeah.
And there's another man in the news that did that. A guy who joined a monastery, and you're only allowed to say 2 words every 10 years. Did you know that?
I did not know that. Boy, choose wisely, huh?
Yeah, and after 10 years.
F this. F this.
After 10 years in the monastery, the head monk summoned him and said, well, you've been with us for 10 years now. What 2 words would you like to say?
Yeah.
The monk said, I'm hungry. So the head monk organized him an extra ration to be given him every day.
Right.
Well, after 20 years, the head monk called him in again and said, what 2 words you like to say? And the monk said, too cold. So the head monk organized for him to get another blanket. They were tidying up the place.
Yep.
After 30 years, the head monk called him in and he said, what 2 words would you like to say? And the monk said, want to leave. The head monk said, well, I'm not surprised. You've done nothing but bitch since you got here. Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
All right, Reavers.
Is wanna considered one word?
Well, that's a word. Here,
What about
Reavers, a note of correction in yesterday's podcast. You guys were in an ecclesiastical mess.
Yes,
Grace
we were.
Church is not Lutheran. It exists in the Protestant Reformed tradition. It currently is non-denominational and formerly Baptist, not Southern Baptist, when it began on France Avenue in Edina. Of course, it wasn't your fault. Per usual, Reavers doubled down on his error by insisting
I insist.
that it's called Grace Lutheran. Regarding Lutherans and Baptists, here's a good one. What's the difference between a Lutheran and a Baptist? A Lutheran will say hi to you in a liquor store. Boom, boom, boom. This is from Craig
good.
Case, former Protestant pastor of 25 years and now a professor. Well, Reavers, if that's one of 12.
Yeah.
What I like about you, Reavers, is when you're wrong, you
stick to it.
You stick to it.
That's
right.
There's no moving you off the
It's
dial.
called
is there?
conviction.
It is it's just amazing that you kept insisting that the place is Lutheran. And I kept saying, is it Lutheran? Because in the memo from the school super,
That's right.
she just referred to Grace Church.
Right. And we all know from the movie Christmas Vacation, Grace died 20 years ago.
Who is Grace? Right.
No, but I got a call that said, you dumb, it's not
Person.
Lutheran. And I said, I was confused with, there is a Grace Lutheran Church. And I was confused.
Well, you are confused. And
Yeah,
you know,
I'm sorry.
Where does that place me? What does that, I have to take into consideration now, the facts you give me, I have to double check.
That's true.
Can we? I think instead of focusing on Chris with this issue, we should turn to you, Mr. Mayor. Because you're always, if anybody watches this broadcast and they pay close attention to you, you are always giving Chris the stink eye. And when Chris is looking at his computer, it upsets you that he's not paying attention.
Well, because he wasn't
And he's
looking
not
up what
involved.
Grace Church was.
But here's the positive. This is Positive Thursday. When Chris is distracted and looking at his computer, he's not flooding GL with erroneous
See?
information.
That's true.
See?
So it actually falls on you, Mr. Mayor.
What other event recently was Grace Church in the news for? That was home to the services for the fallen
last-
Burnsville
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
fellows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
And
On
that didn't
Flying
seem
Cloud,
to
right?
that didn't seem to upset anyone who attended.
Nobody rushed out in a panic that they were trying to be recruited.
Right. How are you, Rook? Everything all right?
Yeah, I just got my XL Energy bill.
I don't care. I don't want to know.
$100.
That's cheap.
Yeah, that is
What
cheap.
what have you been doing?
Nothing. We had that. I just turned the heat off the other day.
And over the weekend, through Tuesday, only 100 vehicles damaged or broken into in Minneapolis.
Is that up or down?
I don't know, but that's 100. What percentage of that of the total vehicles in
In
Minneapolis?
fact, aren't they connecting a number of them to one specific vehicle? I thought I saw.
Well, Hyundais and Kias get stolen. I don't know which ones get broken into or damaged.
No, I guess what I'm saying is the perps are driving a specific vehicle.
That I don't know.
Joe, this all happened on Tuesday.
Oh, my
This wasn't
word.
leading. Yeah, this wasn't leading up to Tuesday. This all happened on Tuesday morning.
100 cars on one day?
Yes.
Speaking of damage,
Wow.
on my way in today, I went past the old Ford plant, approaching the bridge, and some vandals, the nice wooden sign that says Ford Dam and Scenic Overlook?
Yes.
It was both 3 boards or 2 boards were split as if somebody rammed into them.
Well, maybe a
and
car
broke
hit
them.
it.
That's pretty far up.
I don't know.
Well, I just felt really sad that somebody would feel the need to do that.
Our president has been drumming up support from black voters. He was in Philadelphia yesterday, and among his many remarks, he said former President Trump wanted to tear gas those who peacefully protested George Floyd's murder in 2020. Well, that's not true. Those protests were not peaceful. So
Mhm.
Biden is factually incorrect.
Okay.
The protests were not peaceful.
No. Even though
both-
they were described mostly peaceful by national media outlets.
they were horrific.
Correct.
They were destructive. Lake Street is not recovered yet. They were violent and destructive.
We still don't have a third precinct building.
Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris appeared at Girard College, a predominantly black boarding school in Philadelphia, thanking black voters for helping to clinch presidential victory in November 2020. I wish the black Americans would wake up to the fact that the left has never done you a favor in your life. I just really wish you would take a look at that. During his speech, the president focused on items that his administration worked on to better the lives of black voters, including the elimination of lead pipes for safer drinking water, the removal of pollution near fence line communities. I don't know what that means. Affordable high-speed internet and the protection of the Affordable Health Care Act.
Anything in there about crime,
Jeez,
Safety.
Louise.
helping single moms, anything?
He pulled no punches. He told the crowd that Trump called the January 6th rioters patriots. Well, he did. And he wants to pardon every one of them. That's true. Let me ask you, what do you think Trump would have done on January 6th if Black Americans had stormed the Capitol? Biden asked. I don't think he'd be talking about pardons. Probably not. This is the same guy who wanted to tear gas you as you peacefully protested the George Floyds. They were not peaceful, Mr. Biden. They were not peaceful.
Is that fair speculation on Biden's part, saying, well, if they were black protesters?
Yeah, I think it is fair. I think it is. I think it is.
Right.
I think
It's
it
the
is.
same guy who wanted to tear gas you as you peacefully protested George Floyd's murder. It's the same guy.
Yeah. They weren't peaceful, sir. The whole country, the riots were not peaceful.
What if they were all Mexicans?
I
What if they were all Irish? What if it was those bastards from Sweden? I mean, it just seems a little ludicrous to me. Yeah.
What
That's
seems
speculation.
ludicrous? What seems ludicrous?
That he would just bring up the fact that if they were black, he wouldn't pardon them.
Race is an industry, unfortunately, and there
Yeah.
are certain dynamics that have to be followed in the outline, in the agenda. And among them, of course, would be that the blacks were protesting the George Floyd situation out of deep and systemic oppression, and therefore the protesting was bound to be peaceful. It wasn't, but there was no denying that the motivating factor for that was the nature of that whole incident.
Well, wait a minute. So maybe I'm actually missing something. You just opened my eyes to something. So when he's making reference to the George Floyd protesters, am I to assume that he's only talking about black people?
Yes.
Oh, okay. See, I saw a lot of white people protesting.
Right, but the
Okay,
the
I
agenda
gotcha.
calls for him to acknowledge only the black protesters.
I got you.
And that
Okay.
they were oppressed, and therefore their actions were peaceful. I think he also said something about, I think he's trying to get himself on board with the tearing up of freeways. Did you find that?
Yeah,
at
I
all?
believe that's this clip right here.
The promise we'd start to reconnect black and brown and overlooked neighborhoods cut off by highways in the 60s, and decades of disinvestment as a consequence of it, including here in Philly. Well, we're changed that with the Recovery Act. Right now,
What?
you see all the construction going on the highways around here.
What?
So on the one hand, he's lamenting the demise of the only place I'm personally aware of is here, but he's lamenting the demise of freeways, and then he's boasting about the Infrastructure Act producing all this construction on freeways in Philadelphia. So he's a little mixed up there.
Well, things happen.
You got to let some stuff go.
I think we have 6 months to go before the election, and I think this country faces a great deal of angst.
You know, that freeway thing,
Mm-hmm.
that happened to every single person who lives next to a freeway across the entire United States, in cities and in rural areas. It happened virtually everywhere. It affected everybody that lives next
But
to a
there's
freeway.
no denying, if you've read about it, what neighborhoods they chose in most of the big cities to put it through. Look at New York. Look at Robert Moses. Hell, I mean, you know.
Well, here's the deal. If I had been, there was an alternate route for 94, would have been Pierce Butler.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have disturbed a thing, or your disturbances would have been minimal. And rational, more sensitive people were not in place in the mid-'60s. The mid-'60s, you still had a great deal of, what's the word I want? I don't know if it was outright racism or what, but The
Yeah, I
decision,
think you could say that.
all right. The
Yeah, I
decision
think you could.
makers figured out, well, let's not go around. The shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line.
Well, isn't that that's the point, Joe?
So there went Rondo. I don't blame anybody whose family grew up on Rondo for suddenly waking up one day and saying, well, wait a minute, they bulldozed my house for this. There was a different way they could have done it, but the morons in place were morons.
But isn't the fact that you're using that as a campaign platform in the year 2024 a bit of, it's just pandering?
I know, but sometimes the race industry runs out of stuff and they have to go backwards.
But that's exactly what this is, right?
Right.
Let me play devil's advocate, as I usually do.
Yeah.
We on this show many times have said, in terms of history, 60, 70 years is nothing.
That's nothing.
Right.
Well, in this case, obviously it is from what we're saying now.
Yeah.
Wait. Explain that again, John.
We say often on this show, 60 or
I gotta
70
take
years.
this.
I got it.
Okay.
I gotta take it.
All right. Well,
Okay.
Is this a tooth call?
You know,
No, let's not stop, because I want to talk about 35E, the practice freeway. And this actually, I think, would have been ammo for Joe's point of view and maybe your point of view. Remember the great hue and cry and protesting coming from the upper class, wealthy white people about the practice freeway going in, and how they finally reached an agreement that speeds would be slower on that section of freeway as to not disturb our sensitive whites up on the hill.
Yeah.
Am I wrong about that?
No,
I don't know. When was it built? I don't even know. Or when?
It was one of the last ones to go through, I
Yeah, 'cause
believe.
they had connected it. I remember it prior to it being connected, and then that was their deal, 35 miles an hour, and that's why he started calling the practice freeway.
Now, wait a minute, Matthew. Now I'm having an argument with myself. The neighborhoods that are down below 35E, those aren't exactly fancy neighborhoods. Were they at the time nice? Because now you drive through them and you lock your doors.
My brother-in-law grew up in that area, and he calls that we grew up down the hill. That's how he refers to it.
On the wrong side of the hill.
Yeah.
Pardon my ignorance, but you guys are speaking as if, how recent of a decision was this?
Early
Oh,
70s, mid 70s.
Okay.
I mean, it was late enough to where it was a big part of Joe's columns.
Give me a year on the practice freeway, on the completion of the practice freeway, roughly.
Yeah, we're actually talking about the practice freeway and how it might be ammunition for your side of the argument.
The practice freeway was, I would say, early 90s.
Oh, that late?
Yeah.
Wow.
So the speed limit on the practice freeway, was that to make the white people up on the hill happy? How'd that come about, Joe?
I don't know if that was a compromise. The white people up on the hill had a sign or a saying, "Rip 35E." That could have been interpreted two ways: either rip it up and don't do it, or rest in peace, meaning it shouldn't exist.
All right. Sorry.
What?
I was just going to say the completion was completed in 1970, and then
No.
that's what it says.
That can't be right.
That's
Here's what
not
it says
right.
here. Due
That's
to
not
litigation and compromise, push the final 4-mile segment of I-35E back to an opening on October 15th, 1990, 19 years after it started. So in your defense, it started in 70, but they didn't finish it until 19 years later.
Got it.
And it's below the finest neighborhood in the city, where there would be the most influence. So I'm sure that it's coming back to me now. There were lawsuits and delays and threats and appeals and how dare yous and whatever. And I don't think the 45-mile-an-hour speed limit was an appeasement to white people. Well, maybe it was, because it was designated as a parkway and no trucks are allowed.
Right. So did anybody take into account the neighbors that live at the bottom of the hill, the 35E?
Many of them were wiped out.
Yeah.
But those were poor white people, so nobody cared.
Thank you. Thank you. You said thank you. All right. Well, that's what we talked about when you were making a tea time there on the phone.
I wasn't. And I'll tell you what I was up to, and I'm going to get myself out of the ticket business. People ask me, kids ask me, can you do such and such?
Taylor got another concert?
Now I got 4 young guys who are, I can't believe their parents are allowing it, but they're going to go on a road trip this summer.
Fun.
From here to Pinehurst for the U.S. Open.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And I've secured tickets for them. But that was Hollis Kebner, and I got to now send them the names of those 4 youth. But I don't want to be in the ticket business anymore.
But you're so good at it.
No, I'm not.
One call to Hollis,
and then you bother people, and then it's just quid pro quo. And
Hollis loves it. He loves helping people out.
And Pat set me up with Hollis.
Wait. I got to ask a question.
No, don't.
Were you asked to merely purchase or get the tickets lined up?
Availability.
And then you said, "Hey, I'd sure like to go." And they said, "Well, we just don't really have cars."
I don't want to go. I've
no room for another.
Been there and done that. I don't want to do it, but it'll be really fun for these. There are 4 kids that'll be seniors in the fall. They're all golfers, and it would be quite a treat for them to go to that.
Yeah,
but I don't want to be in the ticket business anymore.
You just need a little taste, Joe.
I don't want even that. Just
10-20%. Come on.
I'm thinking that road trip is going to be a little different from the road trips that I took when I was approaching my senior year.
God, I hope so.
Just a little different.
I really hope so.
On the contrary, I think Hollis Kavner is going to tell the 4 boys, "You're not here for the golf, are you?"
Yes. No, I don't want. No. Just
Pinehurst is what? Carolina?
Isn't it North Carolina?
Is it okay? I'm asking you.
Look it up.
You can't F
I
up down
trust him.
south.
I trust
No,
him.
I
You know
don't.
what?
I can't.
It's Pinehurst Lutheran Golf Course.